Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Sherry. Thanks for watching today. I am jumping right in here working on a layout, and I'm starting off with some watercolors I'm using on these heart cutouts, and this is kind of prep work for my layout. And so what I did was I took a cut file from the cut shop, and I actually used it on a previous video. It has the heart cutouts in it, and then I took the hearts that actually punched out of that cutout, and I'm using them on this layout. And so what I'm doing here is I just wanted to add some watercolor to the hearts, and I'm just using different colors of watercolor, blending the colors kind of like the yellows, oranges, pinks, and I want to go ahead and prep those so when I go to do my layout they're ready to go and dry and ready to use. And so I'm just kind of playing with my watercolors, mixing different colors and seeing kind of what I can come up with, just to get different looks. And I am using the December hip kit. This is the main kit that I'm going to be using for this layout. But again, these hearts are actually from the cut shop, and I'll link to that file for you. And I'm going to go ahead, I just did a little bit of red splatters on the hearts, just to give a little more interest. Now I'm going to set those aside and let them dry, and I'm getting into the actual layout now. And so I am using the paper from the hip kit. That is the Amy Tan Flora paper, and I'm going to be using that as the base for my layout. And what I'm going to do is start by layering a little bit of gesso on the back. I'm just going to put dab a little bit of gesso on the layout just to kind of soften it a little bit. I wanted to just add a little bit of white there in the center just to soften it. It's already a pretty soft color, but I just kind of wanted to add that little bit of effect. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of mixed media on this layout too. I'm going to be adding some texture paste. Not that I really needed the gesso for that. That was mainly just to kind of give it a little bit more of a white space in the center of the page. So I'm just taking a paper towel and just dabbing a little bit on there. And then I'm going to be using the Heidi Swap mask again, stencil, which I just realized I used even in my last video. So I'm using that one a lot. I really like that stencil with the hearts. So I'm going to be using the heart portion of that stencil. It also has stars and then I think little dots, if I remember right. But I really wanted to use the heart portion of that. So I'm using some texture paste, and that's the Ranger texture paste that I'm going to be using. And I'm just taking a little bit out, and I'm going to be mixing a color into it, because I wanted a little bit of color to kind of blend with the background. So I'm taking a little bit of the texture paste out, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of color in that. First of all, I'm going to do some splatter effects with Mr. Huey's mist, just splattering some on the background. And then I'm going to be using a little bit of, like I said, color in the texture paste. And going to be adding some of that same mist in there, and as I'm mixing it up, it's a little bit too yellow, so I think I'm going to add a little bit of paint to it, just a little dab of I'm going to put some more mist in there, and I'm going to end up adding a little bit of the pink to kind of give it a little bit more of a pink color. And sometimes what I like to do on my texture paste is you'll see I don't really mix the color in completely, and I kind of like to leave it with a little bit of a variegated effect, and so you can see there that it's not mixed completely in. I kind of like that effect. I kind of just leave the colors not completely mixed. Sometimes I do, it just depends on what mood I'm in. And what I thought I was going to do here, you see me kind of tapping that texture paste. I was going to kind of give it a little bit more of a textured look rather than just swiping the texture paste over the stencil. It didn't really come out that well. And so I didn't do it on the rest of them. I just smeared the texture paste on the stencil, because when I tried to do to tap it to kind of give it a little bit of lift and a little bit of texture, it kind of just looked a little bit messy. So you're going to see me go back in and try to flatten those down. I really didn't like the look of that, so won't try that again, but you never know till you try. So I'm just kind of tapping those down a little bit to kind of get those a little bit more flat. And I'm using a photo today of my niece. Her nickname is Coco. Her real name is Adhering. And she is 4 years old. She actually lives in California, and we are in Tennessee, so we are a long ways apart. And I have 4 nieces and nephews that live in California. And that's where the name Auntie Riri comes from. And that's why I chose that name, Auntie Riri Creates, because that's what my nieces and nephews call me. And we're so very close. I adore all of my nieces and nephews. We are so blessed. I love those kids. They're just great kids. And I do have two that live near me, which I'm really grateful for. But then I have 4 that live in California. And so we're really far apart. I really miss them. We don't get to see them very often. And just really, we're just so close that I just miss them terribly. But anyway, this was a picture of her that her mom sent me and that my sister sent me, and she was just playing in the leaves in the backyard, and she's just so cute and just adorable. So I wanted to scrapbook that, and so I'm using that photo of her just sitting in the leaves, and I'm using the papers there that I'm using for layering are the Amy Tan Stitched collection. And they are from her, it's called Applique. And that is actually the pink stripe, and the gray with the hearts is actually the same paper. One's the front and then one's the back. And so I was just using that to layer. I like the pink stripe and I like the gray. Wanted to keep that red heart in there on the bottom right of that. So I'm just layering that. I added a glassine bag just to kind of give it a little bit more texture. And now I'm playing with those hearts and with the cut file, trying to figure out how I want to get those applied and how I want to layer those. I did want to use those together, but I was kind of playing with this. I didn't really like, one on one side, one on the other, but you're going to see me just kind of fiddle with it a little bit and try to find what works. And I'm going to be using the Dear Lizzie thickers, those gold script words. I love those. They're so pretty. And so I'm going to be pulling out one of those to use for the title. I'm trying to decide here which one I want to use. I love the gold with the pink. It's just the pink and the yellow and kind of the coral look. I just am like so into that right now. I just think it's so pretty together. So I thought those letters worked perfectly with the layout. And so I was trying to decide here what I wanted to do, playing with it and moving things around, and pulling some things from the Amy Tan ephemera collection. Is from the stitched line that we got a whole pack of that in the kit, and so I'm pulling some of those out, as well as the wood veneer shapes, which are from Embellishments. I'm going to end up using that photo wood veneer. And so right now I am going to just take everything off and start adhering, because I kind of have a good idea of where I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to start my layering and getting everything put down so that I can start adhering my embellishments. And I'm going to use a little bit of foam tape behind the photo just to pop it up a little bit to raise it off the page a little bit. I do like to add a little bit of hot glue to the foam tape. Sometimes it just comes off, and mine's a little bit older, and so I wanted to make sure it was going to stay. So I just add a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm kind of just crinkling up the edges, ruffling up the edges there a little bit on my paper, so it just doesn't look so flat, to give it a little bit of lift and texture. And I went with the placement more to the left on the layout so that I could take advantage of that star texture that I did on the right side. And so what I'm going to do here is start layering everything to the right of the photo. When I had tried it before, I saw I had the photo between the two, and I didn't care for that. I thought it was just split up too much, and it really didn't give the eye a really good place to land. It was kind of mixed up. So I decided to go with it on the right of the photo. And what I'm going to do now is I want to mist that die cut. And so I'm just going to test a piece of scratch paper here and test some of my mists and see which color I'm going to like the best. And so I'm just going through a few different colors, different shades of mist here to see what I'm going to like, on the layout. And so I'm just testing that now, and I'm going to compare it to my layout. And that was easy. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mist the actual cutout. That cutout, the floral with a little swirl, is actually from the Silhouette store. So I will try to find the link for that and post that in the bottom as well, so that you'll have the link to that as well as the cut file from the cut shop. And so I'm adding, I added a little bit of mist to that, and I'm just going to dry it before I put it on my layout. I love the cutouts. I just think they make it they make the layouts look just so, I don't know, maybe like a light and airy. I don't know. I just like the effect that the cutouts give to the layout. I've been using those a lot lately. Like I said, I'm trying to get more use out of my silhouette and use it. So I've been giving it a workout. And I'm going to start layering those hearts, and I'm just going to layer those kind of cascading down the page right on top of that flourish cutout. And I just like the effect that that gives. I think it just kind of looks light and airy, and love the colors. Like I said, I'm so into those colors right now. They just look like a sherbet or something. I don't know. They just are so pretty and soft. And so I was going to see if that was going to work. Now, and I was pretty much thinking that's going to do it. And I'm going to add just a few more embellishments with the title. And I decided here, as I'm looking at this title, I wanted it just a little bit simpler. So I'm taking off the cute and the arrow, and I'm just going straight with the Merci. And I'm going to add that right on top of the hearts. But I'm going to add that photo wood veneer. And, you know, it didn't really need a whole lot, I didn't feel like, because, again, you know, the textured background, the hearts, the flourish, had a lot going on there. And I didn't want to take away from that. I wanted to kind of just, you know, what I put on, make sure it complemented that. So I add the title right there on top of that flourish piece. And then I've got just a few more things that I'm going to be adding. I am going to be looking, again, like I said, through the ephemera pack from the Amy Tan Stitched collection. Have a few pieces that I'm going to be pulling out of that. And I decided to go with that little fox. I thought it was cute. The color was perfect, so that's really probably the main reason I went with it. And it has the leaves, kind of like an earthy feel, so I don't know if that makes sense, but probably more so the color blended with it, and I didn't know where else I was going to be able to use that. So I went ahead and put that little fox there. I thought the color went great with it, and I'm going to go ahead and apply that little bunny too. They're kind of like, to me, they're cute, but they're different pieces that I don't know where I would use on another layout. So I decided to go with them since they went with the color scheme so well. And I was trying to see if I could use some of those Embellishments puffy stickers, but I didn't really find anything that really looked good with it. I decided to go with some enamel dots, and I'm just putting a set of 3 up there in that right corner. I was trying to decide if I wanted to put some somewhere else, but I decided not to. And I'm adding some thread. I like to just do bunches of thread. I just like that, so I'm putting a wad of thread there behind that flourish. And I'm still trying to clean up this kit. You can see I still have a lot left, and about ready to start into January, though, ready to move on. And I'm going to go ahead and give you some close-up shots here. And I did end up adding a tag with her name at the bottom, which you'll see in the close-up photos at the end. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up. And thank you so much for watching. And we will see you back here soon. Thanks, and have a great day. Bye-bye.